The man was dead, and his heart was still beating. The rhythm was a soft, persistent thrum, a quiet bump, 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 bump that emanated from the chrome briefcase handcuffed to his wrist. He sat slouched on a bench on the Venice Beach boardwalk, facing the ocean, as if he'd simply decided to take a rest. Tourists in neon bikinis and shirtless skateboarders weaved around him, their laughter and the beat of distant drums creating a jarring soundtrack to his final moment. No one had noticed. In a place where a man painted entirely in silver stood motionless for hours, a sitting corpse was just part of the scenery. Detective Miles Jensen arrived as the sun began to dip, casting long shadows from the graffiti-covered pillars of the basketball courts. The scene was already cordoned off, the LAPD's yellow tape a stark contrast to the vibrant, chaotic art of the boardwalk. Jensen was a man built for shadows, his rumpled trench coat and weary demeanor looking out of place in the relentless California Sunday. "What we got, Cruz?" he asked, nodding to the coroner. "Single gunshot wound to the back of the head." "Professional," Cruz said, pulling back the sheet. "Tidy. But that's not the weird part." He gestured to the briefcase. "We can't get it off. The key's not on him, and it's making that noise." Jensen knelt. The briefcase was sleek, featureless, except for a small, dark screen. The rhythmic thumping was unmistakable, a cardiac rhythm. He pressed his finger against the man's cold neck. "Nothing." "ID?" Jensen asked. "Nothing. Wallet's clean. Fingerprints are running, but his tips are sanded down. Someone didn't want him identified." As forensics worked the scene, Jensen's eyes scanned the crowd. He saw the usual Venice characters, the junkies, the gurus, the hustlers, and he saw her, a woman, standing apart from the gawkers, her posture rigid. She was tall, with sharp features and dark hair cut in a severe bob. She wore a tailored black pantsuit, an outfit that screamed downtown money, and was utterly alien to the boardwalk's bohemian grime. She was watching him. Before Jensen could approach her, she turned and melted into the crowd. "Who was that?" he asked a uniformed officer. "Dunno, Sarge." She was just standing there. The briefcase was finally pried open after a locksmith was called. Inside, nestled in custom-cut foam, was not a bomb or drugs, but a sophisticated piece of technology. A cylindrical glass chamber, filled with a clear, nutrient-rich fluid, and suspended within it, connected by a web of fine filaments and microtubes, was a living, beating human heart. The thrumming stopped the moment the case was opened. The screen on the lid flickered to life, displaying a single line of text. "Authentication terminated. Data corrupted. Initiate Protocol 0. "What in the holy hell?" Cruz muttered, recoiling. Jensen felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. This was beyond a simple hit. This was something new, something grotesque. The heart was a bio-key, a living lock. And the killer had known that murdering the man wouldn't be enough. They had to separate him from his heart to destroy whatever data it protected. Back at the Pacific Division Station, the victim was identified through dental records. His name was Leo Vance. He was a biostorage engineer for a boutique, high-security data firm called Elysian Fields, headquartered in a sleek, unmarked building in Playa Vista, the tech hub known as Silicon Beach. Elysian Fields' CEO, a charismatic man in his 40s named Julian Thorne, was polite but evasive when Jensen and his new partner, a tech-savvy detective named Anya Sharma, came to visit. The office was a temple of minimalism, all white surfaces and quiet hums. Leo was a brilliant mind. "This is a terrible tragedy," Thorne said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "But I'm afraid I can't discuss the nature of his work. Client confidentiality. Our entire business model is based on absolute discretion." "A man was killed, and his heart was used as a key," Jensen said flatly. "We're past discretion." Thorne's smile tightened. "The heart, as you call it, is a proprietary bio-encryption device. It's not a real organ in the traditional sense. It's grown, coded with a unique biological signature. When he died, the device would have sensed the cessation of its paired life signs and initiated a data purge. It's a security feature. I'm sorry, detective, but there's nothing for you to investigate." The asset has been neutralized. It was a clean corporate explanation. Too clean. As they were leaving, a young, nervous-looking woman with glasses intercepted them in the hallway. She slipped Jensen a folded piece of paper. Leo was scared, she whispered quickly, looking over her shoulder. He said the angels were coming. Then she hurried away. The note contained an address in Marina del Rey and a time, 11 p.m. That night, Jensen went alone. The address was a rented sailboat in a quiet marina. The woman from the hallway was there, her face pale in the moonlight. Her name was Chloe, and she was a programmer at Elysian Fields. Thorn is lying, she said, her voice trembling. The hearts aren't just grown. They're harvested. From donors. Jensen stared at her. Donors? Who would donate their heart for a data storage device? They don't donate, Chloe said, her eyes wide with fear. Elysian Fields' biggest client is a life extension foundation called the Eterna Group. They promise their ultra-wealthy clients a form of digital immortality. They scan their brains, their memories, everything. That data is the most valuable thing on Earth to them. And Leo figured out that the only stable long-term storage medium for that volume of complex neural data was organic. Human neural tissue, specifically. They use the heart as a biological battery and processing unit. It's a living server. The pieces began to click into place with horrifying logic. The angels, Leo feared. The Eterna Group. Elysian Fields wasn't just storing data. They were building arcs for the souls of the rich and powerful. Leo had a conscience, Chloe continued. He found out where the donors were really coming from. He was going to go to the authorities, but someone found out. Who killed him, Chloe? I don't know. But the woman in the black suit, she's been around. Her name is Raven. She's a consultant, a problem solver for the Eterna Group. The woman from the boardwalk. Raven. Suddenly, a spotlight hit the boat. A voice boomed from a security vessel. LAPD, stay where you are. Chloe panicked. They found me. She tried to run, lost her footing, and fell into the dark, cold water of the marina. Jensen dove in after her, but the current was strong. By the time he pulled her out, she was unconscious. She died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The official cause, drowning. Jensen knew better. The security vessel had vanished. He was now alone in a labyrinth of corporate secrets and murder. His partner, Sharma, was ordered by the captain to stand down, pressured by calls from City Hall. The case was too hot, too political, but Jensen couldn't stop. The image of Leo Vance on that bench, and Chloe's lifeless body, haunted him. He started digging into the Eterna Group. It was a fortress of privacy, a non-profit with a board of directors that included former senators and global philanthropists. Their public face was one of hope and scientific progress. Their private reality, Jensen suspected, was something far darker. Using Chloe's credentials, which he'd taken from her boat, Jensen accessed a hidden server she'd told him about. He found files, donor profiles. They weren't volunteers. They were the disappeared, the homeless, the addicts, the undocumented people who wouldn't be missed. They were being taken to a private medical facility, owned by a Eterna shell company, listed as a long-term care and research center in the isolated hills of Topanga Canyon. The angels weren't celestial. They were harvesters. Jensen knew he couldn't go through official channels. Thorn and the Eterna Group had too much reach. It was a one-man mission. He armed himself and drove to the Topanga facility under the cover of night. The place was sleek and silent, more like a spa than a hospital. Jensen bypassed the security gate and slipped inside. The corridors were empty, lit by soft, ambient lighting. He found a server room, but it was protected by a familiar-looking lock, a biometric scanner that required a palm print and a retinal scan. As he was figuring out his next move, a voice spoke from behind him. I told you the asset was neutralized, Detective. Jensen turned. Julian Thorne stood there holding a small, elegant pistol. Next to him was Raven, the woman in the black suit. Her expression was unreadable. It's over, Thorne, Jensen said. I know what you're doing here. Do you? Thorne smiled. We're saving humanity, Detective. Or at least, the part of humanity that matters. The thinkers, the creators, the leaders. While the world burns, we're building a new one. A perfect digital Eden, free from disease, from death, from the messy chaos of the physical world. Is that so wrong? You're murdering people to do it. A necessary sacrifice, Thorne said dismissively. The fuel for a brighter future. And you, Detective Jensen, are a spark that needs to be extinguished. He raised the gun, but before he could fire, a shot rang out. Thorne crumpled to the ground, a look of profound surprise on his face. Raven stood, her own gun now smoking. She looked at Jensen, her eyes cold. He was becoming a liability. Too arrogant, she said, her voice as calm as if she'd just commented on the weather. The Eterna Group thanks you for your service, Detective. You uncovered a rogue element within our organization. She was framing him. She would claim Jensen killed Thorne and she had stopped him. It was a perfect cleanup. Raven aimed her gun at Jensen. Unfortunately, the rogue element resisted arrest. Suddenly, the fire alarm blared. The lights flickered. Sharma, Jensen's partner, emerged from a side corridor, her service weapon aimed at Raven. Drop it, Raven. Lapped. Jensen had sent her a message. A single word. Topanga. He hadn't been sure she'd come. In the split second of distraction, Jensen lunged. He tackled Raven, and her gun went off, the bullet ricocheting off a server rack. A brutal, silent fight ensued. Raven was impossibly fast and strong, a trained killer. But Jensen was fueled by a raw, desperate fury. He managed to disarm her and, with a final, heavy blow, she fell unconscious. The facility was shut down. The patients were found in a drugged stupor, kept alive while their bodies were used as hosts for the digital souls of the elite. The scandal was global. The Eterna Group collapsed, its board members disgraced. Jensen was hailed as a hero, but it was a hollow victory. The technology existed. The knowledge was out there. Someone, somewhere, would try it again. A few weeks later, a package arrived at Jensen's desk. No return address. Inside was a single small data drive. When he plugged it in, a file opened. It was a video of Raven. She was sitting in a nondescript room, somewhere in the world. "Hello, Detective," she said, a faint smile on her lips. "You didn't think it was over, did you? The Eterna Group was just one branch on the tree. The root system is much deeper. We learned a lot from this operational hiccup. The next iteration will be more efficient, more discreet." She leaned closer to the camera. "The world is sick, Jensen. It's dying, and we are the cure. We don't want to save it. We want to replace it. And you've just given us a blueprint of what not to do. So, thank you." The video ended. Jensen sat in the silence of his office, the sounds of the city a dull roar outside his window. He looked at the boardwalk of Venice Beach on a monitor, a live feed of the vibrant, chaotic, beautifully messy world he was supposed to protect. He had stopped a monster, but he had also alerted a hydra. The case was closed, but the war was just beginning. The algorithm for a new world was still running, its code written in blood and silicon, waiting for its next iteration. And Miles Jensen, the man from the shadows, was now the only one who knew it was compiling.